What's up, everybody? We're back again. It's episode 273 of the Dad Bod Golf
Yo,
Pod. Happy Wednesday, hump day. You had some play-in games for the NCAA tournament. The regular NCAA tournament's just right, 1 day away. It
did
kicks
you
off.
bet?
I got my bracket filled out. You can go to betonline.ag, who's the show's brought to you by, and sign up today and use your coupon code BLEAV, BLEAV, and get a 50% welcome bonus. You got to sign up and get your bracket. It's not even a bracket. Get your bets ready. You got like 10, 12 games a day, like for 4 days. The first weekend is amazing. You got games.
Kyle, are you skipping work Thursday?
No, I can't. I can't skip work Thursday.
Are you skipping work Friday? Are you skipping work and watching games
I'm not skipping
online?
I'm not skipping work but I'll have my bet set before the day starts because I have to work. But
Dear Kyle's bosses, he's lying. He's going to be betting online. Betonline.ag.
yeah, but this is the best place to do it, and you need to get your account ready and rock and roll because this is the greatest weekend. Hey, is it today? Whenever you get this is what you do. You get a vasectomy. You load up your betonline.ag account, you take off work, and you bet and you watch basketball all weekend.
Hey, listen,
that's how it's supposed to go.
We talked about that on my radio show this week because I brought that up during sports. And so people are in a conundrum this year. Do they take the vasectomy because you can't do a lot of drinking and all that? And it's St. Patty's Day also with opening round of games this year.
Doesn't do a lot for me. I would do it right now. If I had to choose, I would do it right now.
You would cut your nuts right now?
Yeah, if I was doing it, I'd cut them. I would cut them up.
Nah. Put the over on Kyle cutting the balls on.
There you go. Bet online. It's where the game starts. Speaking of balls, how about that?
What a transition.
This
is the talk of the day, man.
Look, the talk of the day for the PGA Tour is
there's
balls.
also a lot of misinformation.
And you know what they're doing? They're cutting up the balls.
They are.
So there's a lot of talk. USGA and RNA are talking about by 2026 they will have I hate all the words they're using, but basically they're going to make the ball not go as far. How about that? They're a rollback. They're going to make the ball very similar to, I guess, the ones of the 90s where the mishits are going to spin more. Your mishits, you're going to lose a crap load more distance. And then just if you nut one, you're still going to lose, 15-ish yards off the tee with the driver and some people's 3-woods. It's their way to combat ever increasing tee ball averages. A lot of people are not happy about it. I think this is pretty big news. They've been rumoring about it, and then, you keep lengthening courses and then this, that, and the other. And what do we do? What do we do? The analytics, people are just bombing it and hitting wedges. They talked about rolling the driver technology back. They didn't do that. Then they just said, let's roll the ball back. And now it seems like that's about to be in play within the next 2 years or 3 years, 2.5 years. I don't know how to feel about it, Ben. Let me know how you feel about it.
Okay, so I got a couple of takes on it. Number one, the one thing that I'm going to like about this when they finally do it, I don't know if you remember watching the guys, you're younger than me, but watching the guys in the early 90s play those balata balls where they could literally throw it to the back of a green that was 75 yards deep and suck it back 50 yards to the pin was pretty friggin' cool to watch. Like, that was really neat to be able to see. So if that's what they're going to do is create a ball that generates more spin, I'm kind of looking forward to the shots around the green. But see, that's another thing. These guys, with these new balls that they roll out, like if it's that soft, they keep talking about they want to eliminate the length off the tee. Well, that's the thing. Now they'll be able to throw a 4-iron out there without it releasing. Like, they'll be able to throw it up there and it stop. So, even though they take the length off the tee and they make guys hit longer irons into the green, it's a softer ball. So are they able to check the ball up and get it closer with longer irons and make more putts? I don't know. However, my anti-stance on it is PGA Tour and USGA. USGA is the one rolling back the rules. So I shouldn't throw PGA Tour under the bus, even though he's done enough to screw himself over. Monahan has over the last few weeks. USGA, you did this. You started lengthening all the courses. You did it to the famed Augusta National. Y'all added tee box and lengthened tee boxes and lengthen holes. Well, what do you think these guys are going to do? They're going to adjust. They're going to hit harder balls. They're going to hit balls that generate less spin and get out there further because you just backed them up 50 yards. So if you would quit messing with, you and I have talked about this, quit messing with the courses. There are holes, par threes, like we talked about that 240-yard par three that was at Riviera. There are holes that are 105 yards that guys can't get close to the pin. Like, we don't have to make every hole super long. And they've done that. Guys adjusted, and they're hitting a harder ball. Tiger was the most notorious for it. Tiger played up a lot of ball until they started tiger-proofing the courses, and he immediately went to what is essentially what a top flight is for me and you. Like, it's a very hard cover ball that he could get out there a little bit further. Because what we've said, distance is the key. He and Phil, they started this revolution where they were like, we'd rather have a wedge out of the rough than we had a 6-iron out of the fairway. And so now the PGA Tour, since they've done it to themselves and they've kind of lengthened courses and guys have adjusted, now the PGA Tour's got to adjust back and got to restrict the balls that they can play. That's why I don't like it, because they're the ones that did this to themselves, and now they're having to go back and fix it.
Did they do it to here's my thing. As athletes, as time goes on, technology increases.
Mm-hmm.
Golf athletes increase, like as far as like what they can do, that players get stronger, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how much that this has to do with lengthening like the lengthening the course has led to this, because, for example, like the Augusta at 1997, when Tiger won the Masters, was like 68 or 6,900 yards, and the average driving distance was 302. And that was the first time they had really, like, they started talking about tiger proofing. But like the average drive from 1980 to 1997 was like 26 average. The longest driver like picked up 26 yards. So like the course didn't really change that much in that time. Like, they didn't really start lengthening courses, I guess. And I'm saying that it's a lagging effect, not a pro effect. Like, courses didn't lengthen after guys started hitting it longer. Courses lengthened. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase this.
Yeah, they did lengthen after guys started hitting it further.
Right, not the inverse, which is kind of what you're saying. You're saying that they lengthened courses so guys started figuring out how to hit it farther, and I'm saying it was the inverse. Guys had started hitting it further, so in reaction, they started trying to make a little bit of the courses longer. So that's the thing, is like what they're trying to do is keep up with athletes getting stronger, technology getting better. And the only way at that point in time they could do that was to lengthen courses. Lengthening courses was a reaction, not what you're talking about. It's not the other way around. It's not.
No, I say it's a reaction for when the guys started hitting it further. I think it was a reaction.
Okay.
And I think this is also a reaction, because guys have figured out how to hit it even further than that. Because think about it, that stat that came up about John Daly, he led driving distance for 10 straight years back in the late 90s and early 2000s at like an average of like 307. Now the average is like 315. So it sounds like they're wanting to get back to that 307 mark or 305 mark or 300 mark off the tee. Because let's put this in perspective too. There's been a lot of misinformation. I told Kyle we were reading an article before we came on, and there were tweets and there were things that was like anywhere from 20 to 60 yards. No, it's essentially, get into the numbers here. I'm not a numbers guy, but you've got to have a swing speed of over 120 miles an hour. So they're not going to do that with their wedge. So it's not going to affect wedge play. It's not going to take distance off your wedges or off your 5-iron. But your drivers and your 3-woods are going to roll back 15 to 20 yards, it sounds like, depending on how, the guys that won't be affected, those guys that stay steady at like that 110 mile per hour speed swing. Like they're not going to, apparently the way they're going to design this ball, it's not going to affect those guys. you got to get up into the 120s before it starts rolling back and creates more spin. So I don't know how the hell they do all that technology. That's science that's above mine and your pay grade. But it sounds like your bombers, your DJs, which want to be affected because it's by libs, they don't use USGA rules. Your DJs, your Rorys. Hell, look at Tiger. He's been out driving JT and Spieth whenever they play in the same group. He outdrove Rory at Riviera. So those guys that are generating that 120 plus mile per hour speed, they're, instead of them averaging 315, they're going to be back around that 302 mark, like John Daly was. So
gotcha.
I think it's both a reactive. I think both can be true. It was reactive then because, like you said, it didn't change. Because let's call it what it was, Kyle. When you and I watch old videos, those guys were not athletes in the 70s and 80s. I mean, you look at the way they dressed, you look at the way they were shaped.
Right.
You see these guys today, the workouts they have. I mean, hell, they're working out before a round, they're working out after a round. They go to a gym. Like they're constantly keeping their muscles in shape. And I mean, look at John Rahm. He looks like kind of a dad bod guy, like a little heavier set guy. He's freaking strong, man. Like,
I'm just saying,
he's a strong dude.
This is all I'm saying. I'm just saying that lengthening the courses did not create this boom of people trying to hit it far. It was a reaction to the boom of people wanting to hit it far after Tiger started hitting it so far. And the golf and moving from the John Daly to the Dustin Johnson athlete. So the thing is, when you run out of space, like you're running out of space. So like, what do you do next? What do you do next? You got to do something with the equipment, right?
So my argument to what you just said falls in one person only. And that's Padraig Harrington, who came out earlier this year, because they said, you've added 15 to 20 yards to your drive. And his literal response was, yes, because they keep lengthening the courses. So I had to pick it up and had to add distance to my drive. But I understand that's a one thing. I get it. I know.
That's an anecdotal versus that's a symptom of instead of the illness. You know what I mean?
But I mean, the Homas, Max Homa, he said the same thing. Like he picked up from his earlier days, he's picked up 15 to 20 yards. Now, but
he's also a brick house now.
But I was going to say, is that when this guy came out with the USGA, whatever his name was, because I sent you the name, I didn't even know he was the president of it. But the guy that announced this, like, is he factoring that in when he gets this rollback thing? Like Max Homa looks like a different dude than when he first came on tour. Yeah. Like that ain't the ball. That's the fact that he's deadlifting 350 10 times. Like that. Yeah. You see what I mean?
Koepka, like that type, body type, and Dustin Johnson and all these guys.
Well, we just said it. Tiger. Look at what he's done to his upper body since he lost his friggin' leg. I mean, he's jacked, man.
Yeah. So let me see if I understand. Are you saying that what exactly is your point? Is the rollback good? Is it necessary? Is it or what is your point?
I guess my thing is golfers has continued to evolve, whether it be change balls like they did because Tiger went to a harder ball so to go further. They're working out more. So when you roll it back, what's next? Are they sneaking PEDs? Are they, they want to play their game. They want to play the game that they're so regimented. They're going to figure out a way to evolve past this too. And then what's next? Like you just talked about, do they deaden the drivers next? Do we, say that nobody can play cavity backs? Because even some of the pros have gotten away from blades and play either muscle backs or cavity back.
But how long?
Homa plays a cavity back with a graphite shaft, and he's a pro golfer.
How long does it take for them to be able to master this, though? Like,
the thing is, they got a 3-year head start because it just got announced. They're guaranteed you they're going to TaylorMade and to Titleist, and they're going, all right, go ahead and put these balls together for me. I got to figure this out on the range. I mean, that's what Bryson did when he learned the long drive thing. He was 2 years. He worked on it 2 years before he implemented it. So they get a 3-year head start to try to figure this out.
So I guess what I'm
2.5 years.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, so you think that ultimately this will, like, over a period of time, it will be right back where we were? Is that what you're saying?
I think you implement it in 2026. I think by 2028, they got to figure something else out again.
I just don't think the body physically can I don't think the body as a professional golfer, not everybody, like there's not a lot of body types that can maintain. I mean, I guess if 120 mile per hour ball speed, club head speed is a 314 yard, 295 yard carry, from this chart that I'm looking at, from Swingman Golf.
Yep.
I mean, there's just not a lot of body types that can maintain 104. So if it negates 15 yards of 120 and over, so 120 hitting it, carrying it 295 is now 280. 344 is 140. That would be roughly, 330. I just don't. Are there that many guys out there that are going to be able to maintain that level of club head speed and be able to reduce that much spin off miss hits?
I think it's a combination I think it's a combination.
I personally think this is a huge thing. I think this is something that's going to take many years to catch up with. I just don't see this like in 3 years, it just being like they figured it out before it even rolled out. Like, I think this is going to be a big deal.
But what if they change things? Because apparently, like we said, it's only going to affect like the driver in 3 would. So what if they do what Bryson tried to do and it didn't work, and Phil tried to do it and it didn't work, but they try to make it work now, where to get more leverage and get more club head speed, they lengthen their driver within the legal limits an extra 1.5 to 2 inches. And they're swinging with the same. Now. That's what I'm saying. But they don't, because they want to control it. But when they do this, do they go back to the Phil way of doing things in the early 2000s, where they say, you know what, the hell with it. I don't care if I had a fairway or not. I'm just going to bomb it down.
You better not miss it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. That's why Bryson and Phil went away from it, because they could not.
You better not miss it. Because, I mean, it's going to be
on
spinning
a consistent basis.
You're going to, instead of that 15, it could be 20 to 30.
Right.
If the spin is what they say it's going to be. I don't know. I think this is a big deal. I really think this is a big deal. I think that it's gotten to the point where you're going to have to eventually come up with a way to fight back. Like you're running out of space. Like Augusta is a stretch to literally its limits. I mean, it's almost, there's just not a whole lot more room. 13 was like the biggest new deal, like move that tee box way back, because, it was so short. And over the years, people were hitting, were hitting, mid irons into that green. So now heck, it could end up being, if you don't turn it over right, I mean, it could end up being a 3-shot hole. I mean, you'll have to, because you can't get around the corner. I don't know. I think it could be.
Yeah, but they brought that example up. Like, now the ball will spin more. They'll be able to throw it around that corner. They'll be able to throw it out there to the right and spin it more. They'll be able to curve it more.
Well, I mean, but again, like, how long does it take you to master that shot? You think? I mean, maybe
it takes a while. I give them 2.5 year head start.
But they're playing golf right now too.
I get
like it. They're not. I just don't know how much time they're going to spend. Like, I wonder about the groove. Remember when they had the big groove change, like on the wedge? Like, they went from like, I don't even know if that's still a thing. They used to go like from square grooves, like triangle grooves or something. I remember that.
They had to do U grooves. They went from square to U because square generated too much spin.
Yeah, but like, spin is a big deal. Like, how much do you want to practice that while you're actually playing? Like, how does that affect you? I would love to know. I would love to talk to someone that's going to have to like live through this, and like, how do you prepare from now until 2026 or whenever it rolls out? Because I feel like you can't go too far with it too early, because that could screw up. And then again, it could be like swinging with a weight on your bat, and the bat gets light, feels lighter. Hitting a ball that spins, doesn't fly as far and spins more. If you learn how to really reel it in, it may make the balls that you hit now like super. I don't know. It could have that sort of effect. I don't know. I just think 15 yards doesn't sound big, but over the course of, you typically
15 yards over every driver hole. So you're looking at minimum probably 12 holes, 13 holes.
Yeah. So, I mean, do that math. I mean, that links that takes that from a wedge to a 9-iron, or a pitching wedge to a, possibly pitching wedge to an 8-iron. 15.
Here's another concern that I have, Kyle, that I don't that I don't particularly that I don't like, and I'm wondering how they're going to address it. The trickle down effect, because they said in there this is for elite players. So it's going to be pros only. So what if a guy is an All-American, wins an individual NCAA tournament title, and he's been playing the same ball since he was 11 years old, and then all of a sudden he says, I'm turning pro. Well, guess what? Here's your new ball. So basically everything that you've been doing over the last 10, 12 years, you're not going to be able to do anymore.
What if the Live Tour says, screw your ball? And then everybody's like,
because they don't play by USGA rules.
Yeah, I want to go play. Well, I mean, I guess if they want world ranking points, they do, but I want to go play on that tour where I don't have to play this stupid ball. I mean, you could see some games like that.
No, that's a good point. But I do wonder about I mean, you and I talked about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we wouldn't trade it for anything. You and I grew up playing football, basketball, baseball, and all that kind of stuff. But man, you got kids now that they get out there on the golf course and they're playing at 8, and that's all that they play. They play golf until they graduate. And I mean, you and I have talked about it. What if we'd have done that? Everybody goes, oh, you don't need to do that. Well, you know what? Golf's the only sport that you and I can still play when we're 80 years old. You can't play football at 80. You can't play basketball at 80, not competitively. And you can't play, I mean, you got guys on tour right now that are 50 years old that would beat the shit out of me and you. I mean, they drive it 300 yards. And so I just wonder the trickle down effect that if it's only for quote unquote elite players, then you throw these guys.
We're not elite. We don't have to worry about it.
No, I'm not talking about us. But, like the Turk Pettits of the world, like the one NCAA title, if he decides to, when he gets off Live and qualify and go pro, and then all of a sudden they hand him this new ball and they're like, hey, man, I know you're 28, 29 years old. You've qualified to play, because that's about the time it would hit him. He'd be able to go through Q school and requalify. And so if he gets on tour and they're like, hey, by the way, here's your new ball. Congratulations on playing for the last 15, 17 years with one ball. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Probably when you get to a certain level, you probably will just start playing with those balls, I would imagine. Like if that's the kind of like you can buy, like if you want to, you can go buy like those left dash secret Titleist Pro V1 left dashes and right dashes. And
that's what I play.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Ben, you play a left dash.
So the last time we started playing, I went left dash because that's what Grace Enough told me to play because it's got less spin.
Where did you find it?
It's got them at Moon Golf. They got them at Dick's. They order them online at golfballs.com.
Used to, there was like this elite. There was one before they started changing a lot of things, and it was like it was a left dash or something like that, and you couldn't get them. They were like, people would sell them for like $100 a box or something.
Oh no, I got them for like $48 a box on golfballs.com.
Huh. I need to check that out then. I need to check that out. Something else you need to check out. You need to look at Blue Tees rangefinders. Look, we talk about it, we joke about it, but I mean, let's just be serious. If you spend over $400 on a rangefinder, you're just literally, you're dumb. You're dumb. And you may be dumb or you're ignorant because you don't know what's out there. And that's because and we're here to tell you Blue Tees is out there.
It's the most ringing endorsement I've ever heard.
I'm just saying, you either just like spending way too much money, or you just don't know that it's available. This is available and the features that it has. I mean, you have slope is huge. Slope for us is big because it gives you the pin number and then it tells you, hey, you're playing this much up, this much down. This is the actual number. That's something huge. That's something that that's what these pros pay caddies to tell them. So it's essentially having your own caddy in your hand when you lock onto and you can get it for just an incredibly low price.
The hell with the lock on. That scan mode is where it's at, man.
Scan mode. That's another thing.
Phenomenal.
That is the caddy sitting there flipping the page that says it's 202 to that bunker. It's 320 to that tree. You can do that in the palm of your hand. You flip your rangefinder to scan mode and then just hold the button down. And as you scan, it's picking up, it's hitting things and giving you yardages.
Prime example, played with Kyle, that par 4 on the back that's downhill after it gets past the tree. And I was like, what gets me in that right bunker? So I scanned it because the pin was in the front left or whatever. I was like, so if I blow it out right, what gets me in that right? Did the scan mode. I knew if I hit this one club, I knew I was not going to get the bunker, but I could still get the green. That's phenomenal. That kind of thing is just invaluable.
Invaluable. So use coupon code DADBOD and take another 10% off of already incredibly low prices. They got all kind of package deals with Bluetooth speakers, divot tools, mag hubs, all kind of stuff. So check them out. Blue Tees Rangefinders. It's where rangefinders start.
They also have a collegiate collection on there. If you go, if you want your case to be a collegiate case, they've got some schools that are on there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool too. All right. What was Full Swing. Okay. So Full Swing has renewed for a second series. And we talked about the first episode, I think, and overall, we haven't really gone back and talked about each episode. There was some great stuff in it. I personally loved it.
I did not.
There was not a whole lot of there's not many episodes that I didn't like. Ben was not a fan, not necessarily a fan. He was a little bit let down. I'm not really sure how.
I think mine was totally based on expectations.
Okay. What were you expecting?
I just didn't expect, even going to the first episode, I didn't think that they were going to follow JT and Jordan on basically a weekend and make an entire episode out of it. I guess I thought that they were going to have camera crews with all these guys all season long, then go back and basically condense it and kind of have each episode would be like a follower of an individual or a couple of guys and go that route. But it seemed like, I don't know. It
told a story. It told a story of several different guys.
No, it did. It told, and it gave background on it. And like, one of my favorite ones, probably the Tony Finau one, was probably my favorite. If I had to pick, just because I like that guy. And
yeah,
I thought it was a weird flex that all the golfing community was like basically bashing him because he wants to spend time with his family. I'm like, that's stupid. I mean, the guy's a great golfer. He does great in Ryder Cup, does great in President's Cup, and he finishes top 25. Like, he's making plenty of money. Like, y'all lay off of him. He's a good golfer. He does not suck. Even though he spends time with his family, he doesn't suck. Okay. And so,
right.
Something like that, like I enjoyed that one, but the rest of them, as I said, I think my expectations were, they kept talking about how much time they were spending with these guys. And it was like, well, you spent all that time, but you literally only filmed them for like a week. Like,
no, man, there was stuff from like
I mean, even the Poulter episode was about 3 weeks worth of material. Like when he factored, because it was that transition from
but he went to
PGA
live.
Tour. I know that was the best part, that he went to live, but still, who knows if they'd have done 3 weeks if he had not gone to live.
Here's my thing. Here. This is a thing you got to think about though, Ben. They got rights to go film a PGA season and followed dudes and had no idea that live golf was going to happen.
I totally get
so
that.
Like a lot of the guys that they picked lost half the season of stuff. So like you got Brooks Koepka, you got let's just go Dustin Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
You got Mito Pierre. Well, Mito pretty much lasted the whole year. You have those big name guys, Brooks Koepka. You had those big name guys, and you didn't get to see a whole lot because they left so early.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I personally enjoyed it. Joel Damon was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, that was because that one and Tony are the two best ones by far, in my opinion.
Agree.
And they were back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a golf nut. I liked.
No, look,
I enjoyed all of it.
I liked it. That's where you misunderstand.
The least entertaining one to me was Matthew Fitzpatrick. I don't know why. There's just nothing entertaining about him. There's no entertainment value whatsoever with Matthew Fitzpatrick, and I like him as a golfer. Just I don't know.
I don't anymore.
Oh, because of how hardcore he's been against Liv.
Yeah, he said last week, he's like, those guys should never be able to get back on the tour. I was like, yeah, you can't do that. Like if they quit Liv and they qualify through Q school, you got to let them back on. Like,
I don't guess they have to.
They don't have to. That'd just be a dick move if you didn't. Like if they went through, I mean, it really would be. That'd be a dick move.
All right, so season two has been renewed.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some things that you hope to see? I guess they're filming now, maybe for 20.
No, they said last weekend they were filming.
Okay,
they were on site filming last week.
But it says season 2 coming. Okay, yeah, 2024 is next year.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they're filming now for next year. So what do you want to see more of? And you can't say Tiger Woods because I would watch
We all love Tiger.
I would watch a 100 episode season of Tiger Woods just literally waking up in the morning, going to Dunkin' Donuts, and then like I would watch it every day. I would watch it 365 days. I would
Can
watch
you
it.
imagine how well that would sell though if they were there to film her going to the airport and not being able to get back in the car? Do you
Holy God. Oh
understand
my
how
gosh.
much money I would pay to watch that shit? I mean, are you kidding me? Take my money. Let me sign up. Lori's going to be pissed when she sees this upcharge for this Netflix uncut version because I want to see all of that.
Oh yeah, I would pay there's outrageous amounts of money for that. So
listen, I would pool with you. There would be thousands spent, and we would watch it at your house, and Bub would be sitting right there on my knee watching it with us. Like this would be history. Like,
oh yeah,
but we're not going to be able to do that. Like that's not happening. So just let's not get everybody's hopes up. Things that I would like to see.
And keep in mind it has to be during a season. So like it can't be like a documentary of like the rise and fall of Smiley Kaufman. Like even though I would love to see that.
Listen, and the rise back up. He's getting paid a lot of money to be an analyst.
He's on course now.
Yeah. So he's, trust me, it's been the rise, fall, and rise back up of Smiley Kaufman. That actually may be a pretty good episode if they did that. Kyle, one thing that I'd like to see, I love like with the Damon episode, Joel Damon episode. I'd love to see more player caddy interaction and learn more about the caddies. I mean, we hear about these guys, you know, the Bones of the world and you know, and the Teddies of the world and that kind of thing. Like those guys are very interesting. You know, Teddy, a lot of people don't realize this. He's a damn good golfer. Like I know he's caddying right now for JT, but they have said that if JT had picked him up, he runs a golf school in Louisiana. Like he's a teacher. He teaches people what to do.
Yeah,
he could fix your issues. And so
I don't know. He's got to be good
because I would like for it to get so I want the more player caddy stuff.
How about just more caddy stuff in general?
Yeah, more caddy stuff. Yeah, I don't even have to hear about the player.
Here's what I would love to see a day in the life of a caddy. I would love to pick a caddy and say, okay, here's what I do. And some of them may not want to do that because they may like show their secrets, but like, I mean, how much do you how much studying do you do of the course? And like, what do you do on, how do you know where to practice putts, like based off of, I mean, sometimes it's historical pins or things like I would love where you stay, how you pay for stuff, like seeing your 10% hit the bank, like stuff like that. I'm with you. I would love more caddy stuff in general. I think that would be big.
Listen, they did a thing with Webb Simpson and his caddy on the players on the practice round on Wednesday. They only were there for 2 shots. The tee ball, they walked with him down the fairway and talked to him on his, well, I would say approach. He was going for the green in 2 because it was par 5. 16 is what they did it on. I could watch a whole episode on that to hear the interaction that they had and the conversation they had walking down, talking about this. And since it was 16, they were talking about 17, watching the winds, watching the guys putt over there to see what's going, like they're thinking ahead. Like that stuff I would love as a golf nut, but that's part of the part 2 of what I would like to see more of is, and I know you made fun of me for saying this, but like even Lori said, some of the parts of it were very elementary, like having to repeat what stuff was. And I think at this point, and I'd love for them to see, because they can look at those analytics, who their audience and target audience was. And if they see that 90% of the people watching were everyday golfers, I think they may, instead of dumb it down a little bit, maybe they escalate it a little bit and we get to hear some of that caddy jargon and player jargon. I mean, little things like it's as simple as you and I, we may be on the course and you may say, yeah, it's 155 to the pin, where they're going, it's 55. It's out of the left 5, it's playing down 6 and, pins 3 paces on. So what we're going to do here, like hearing that stuff, I'd rather hear that jargon, next time around. Here's some of that.
What a birdie and what a bogey is.
Yeah, I don't need to know what a birdie and a bogey. I don't even know what a cut is. We figured out what the cut line was, which they're doing away with. So you might as well go ahead and get rid of that anyway. Because they're doing away with the cut.
Here's one thing that I loved that was you only saw a very fraction of, but I think it's fascinating. There was the Colin Morikawa's episode where he was meeting with, I guess it was Adidas, maybe it was Adidas, and they were going through like the outfits or something that they wanted to have. And he was like, yeah, I really hate that. Like, to me, sponsorships fascinate me. Sponsorships, equipment. You got the controversy with the Stealth 2 driver.
Yep.
Colin Morikawa hates it. Rory McIlroy hates it. Scotty Scheffler loves it. What about, let's have some conversation over, like, let's see how they handle, hey, you got to play this club. Hey, you got to wear this. I don't like that. Or you got to eat this, or you got to go here. I don't want to do, that kind. I would love to know. I would love to hear a little bit more along those lines.
Yeah, no, I completely. That's another thing I'd love to see, especially equipment wise. That you and I both know TaylorMade's not going to let them get on there and bash TaylorMade this season 2 of. It's just not going to happen. Somebody from corporate at TaylorMade is going to call up and be like, "You're not featuring the Stealth 2. Like, that ain't happening."
Yeah,
but I would love to see something like that.
Adidas took one on the chin. I mean, Colin kind of bashed some of the stuff they had made for him.
Well, Justin Rose, he would have been. He's not doing it this year, but if they'd have followed him the last 2 years, he went through 3 different club changes. And so now he's with TaylorMade. I don't think he uses the driver. I think he's still with Titleist on driver. He's got a mixed bag, but he's gone to TaylorMade irons. And I would love to see how that happened. And there's got to be more like him that we don't hear about. But, guys that they play with a certain iron, they're just like, this just does not do it for me. And so they start farming out and seeing what they can. I mean, he went to those Homa irons for less than a year. And he was like, yeah, these suck. I'm not doing these. And so he switched out. And then went to Titleist, and then went from Titleist to TaylorMade. So I'd love to see that kind of thing. Caddy relationships, sponsorships, whether it be apparel or clubs. I'm good with either one. Even balls. I mean, you saw what Tiger dealt with when he moved from Titleist to Nike, and how he basically, that Nike 1 Black was his Pro V1. He had to sit down with him and tell him, this is what I need. This is what we got. Like, it's a science. And so I'd love to see that stuff and see and little things, little idiosyncrasies, like little, I guess I call them, I guess they're superstitions, because I always find that cool when they do the what's in the bag, and they'll talk about, they got to make sure they have 4 Band-Aids and a ball mark, and, they can only carry 3 tees in their pocket at one time. Like, I'd love to find out more personal stuff about the players, like how friggin' OCD they are. Yeah. I think some of them are really bad.
Yeah. And then probably one of the last things I think, this goes to, like, this would be the avid golf, like the guy that just loves golf would want to see this, but I would love to follow guys on the ancillary tours and their journey through a season. Not like, this is just for example, like Grayson Huff on PGA Tour Latin America, our buddy, playing that one, and then, coming back and then having, like, Corn Ferry is a good example. There's a huge layoff between their last tournament and then the next tournament. And a lot of those dudes go try to Monday qualify places. So, like, following stuff like that. Same thing with Grayson Huff. Jacob Solomon, who's on the Corn Ferry Tour, he played in a mini tour event here and won it at Saugahatchee. Won several $1,000s. So, like, stuff like that, like how those dudes make it, the journey. Maybe talk about their backers, like show how they get started. Like, they get the plans where they have, the dudes give them some money. It starts off, a 30-70 split, and then they work their way up to where they've paid off the money they owe. And now, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff fascinates me. Like, how did you make it? How did you make it?
Yeah. Like that story,
what's your journey?
That story Boo told us about how that the country club got together, and they all pieced together a few $1,000s for him to, they're like, hey, we'll put you on there for a year. See if you can do anything.
Yep.
And that stuff it's fascinating, because these guys are normal guys, man. I mean, and I think that's they can open that up the locker room talk and the idiosyncrasies behind the scenes. Because
twice. Idiosyncrasies. You went twice.
It's a good word. And the stuff behind the scenes that we don't ever get to see during a tournament. When you turn on the Masters, when a major's on, we're watching golf, which is fine. You and I love that. We love the scenery, we love the golf, but man, it'd be cool if we could have this thing to fall back on, that after the Masters, we could go back and watch behind the scenes of Augusta National in 2023.
Right.
And it'd be locker room. The only thing we're not seeing is that damn dinner. You got to be invite only, and they make the camera stay out on the porch. So they got the one camera guy goes in there and takes a still photo. That's it. So we won't get anything out of that. But still, the other things, locker room talk and the things that they do that we don't get to see every day that make them normal people. Because that's the one thing Lori said that made a lot of sense to me, from somebody that's not a golfer, because I did appreciate it because it was a big flex. But like she said in episode 1, she goes, these guys aren't normal people. They're flying around privately and they're just whizzing from here to there and making all this money. Like, that's not real world. And they do have real world problems. It's just they didn't show it in the Netflix show the first time. So let's show more of that. Let's show more of the, like you just said, the struggles of the players that come up through it, or find one that now is on tour this year that struggled in Korn Ferry last year and barely qualified. So that kind of stuff. I don't. Now, that's personal preference. Me and you want to hear those kind of stories. Maybe they did this focus group and America doesn't want to see that stuff. I don't know.
I enjoyed the first one. I think it's just going to keep getting better. The group that does these things, they've done it for Formula One. They've done it for tennis. Apparently I've heard that the tennis one is actually incredible. I want to go back and watch the tennis one, because I think I may have actually watched one where it was which one was it? There's a player that was supposed to be like the number one in the world with Andy Roddick, and now I can't think of his name, but he would just have like crippling anxiety, and like it went through that whole thing. It was really good. They do a really good job. So yeah, I know this next one's going to be really good. So anyway,
but to clarify, I liked it. I just was disappointed. My expectations were something different than what I saw.
I mean, maybe I could see some of that. Some of the episodes were maybe a little bit dry, but for the most part, I dug it. Anyway, all right, guys, we're going to call it a night on that one. So, great show. We'll be back hopefully Friday, and we'll talk a little bit about maybe the tournament that's the Innsbruck. It's the Valspar, I think, is the name.
Valspar. It's
I know they got the big rattlesnake thing. So a rattlesnake statue thing. That's kind of weird, but we'll talk about that. Maybe
they got a limited field again.
I think Live is coming up pretty quick, the second event. So maybe we'll have some stuff come out about that. I think Patrick Reed's lost a little bit of weight. That may be maybe worth a little chatter. But anyway, y'all have a great rest of the week, and we'll hopefully talk back on Friday. So this is episode 273 of the Dad Bod Golf Pod, and we're always
stroking.